Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name is Tom Hale. I've never been one for drama, so when Brenda, my girlfriend of 3 years, told me her parents wanted me over for dinner, I thought it would be a routine evening. A polite meal, some careful conversation, a little pressure maybe. Nothing I couldn't handle. But Brenda didn't ask like it was a suggestion. She said it with that sharp, unblinking tone of hers. Tom, this isn't optional, she told me one Thursday evening as she set her laptop aside on the couch. They want to meet you. It's important. You need to come. I leaned back in the chair across from her, trying to read if this was about family tradition or something deeper. Saturday? I asked. Yes, Saturday. She folded her arms. And I don't want you showing up in that office jacket you always wear. My parents are old-fashioned. Make a good impression. I almost smiled at the way she phrased it. It wasn't our impression. It was mine on trial. Still, I agreed. When someone you've invested years into asks for something that clearly matters to them, you do it. Over the next day, I prepared like it was a job interview. I bought a bottle of Cabernet, polished my shoes, and even read up on table etiquette I'd never bothered with before. Brenda seemed pleased but distant, like she'd already decided how the night would go. Saturday evening, I pulled up outside her parents' place with the wine on the passenger seat. I sat for a moment in the car, straightened my blazer, and told myself, be steady, be respectful, don't overthink it. Brenda had gone ahead earlier in the afternoon to help her mother with dinner. When I rang the bell, Brenda's father greeted me with a firm handshake, her mother with a quick smile. Brenda herself appeared behind them, perfectly composed. For the first 20 minutes, it felt almost ordinary. A glass of wine in the living room, light conversation about my job. I thought maybe I had overprepared. I was wrong, because by the time dinner reached the table, I realized this evening wasn't about introductions. It was a test I was never supposed to pass. I first met Brenda Carter at a corporate training event 3.5 years earlier. I was there because my company, a logistics firm, had merged systems with hers, a marketing agency that handled product launches. It was one of those dull workshops where people pretended to take notes while waiting for lunch. I sat in the back, trying not to nod off, when Brenda walked in late. She wasn't shy about it either, heels clicking, hair tied back, phone still in hand. She dropped into the seat next to me and whispered, "Did I miss anything important?" "Only if you like graphs," I said without looking up. She laughed under her breath, and that laugh hooked me more than I realized at the time. After the session, she found me by the coffee table and asked about my work. I told her, nothing glamorous, just solid, steady logistics. She listened, gave a short nod that said she wasn't particularly impressed, then mentioned how much she respected real work compared to the hollow chatter in her own office. That bluntness set her apart. Over the weeks that followed, Brenda found excuses to email me about projects that didn't really need my input. Then came coffees, then dinners. She had this mix of drive and wit that made conversations feel alive. I wasn't looking for a relationship at the time, but she pushed her way in without asking permission. 6 months later, we moved in together. Brenda brought energy to my careful, structured life. She loved planning trips, throwing parties, and keeping things in motion. I liked the order of it, the sense of progress. For a while, it worked. But people don't always stay who they were when you first meet them. And by the time her family came back into the picture, the woman who once laughed at my bad jokes had started looking at me differently. The first 3 years with Brenda had balance. We went on weekend trips, burned through entire TV shows in one sitting, argued about small things, and made up quickly. Nothing extraordinary, but solid. The shift came after her younger cousin got married. That night, while we were driving home from the wedding reception, Brenda leaned against the window and said, "So, when do you think it'll be our turn?" I kept my eyes on the road. "Soon," I told her, and I meant it. Just not right then. I was working toward a senior position at the firm. The promotion was close. With it came the kind of salary that would put us on steady ground. My rule had always been simple: no big steps until the foundation could hold it. But Brenda didn't see it that way. Over the next months, she brought it up more often, sometimes as a joke, sometimes as a pointed comment. "My mom keeps asking when we're finally settling down." Or, "It'd be nice to start planning something, don't you think?" One night, after dinner, she pressed harder. "Tom, do you even want to marry me?" "Yes," I said. "I do, but I'm not walking into it scrambling. Let me get this promotion first. Give me a little time. She nodded, but her eyes told me the words hadn't landed. From then on, her tone shifted. Calls went unanswered. Texts turned short. She started spending more time at the office, though when I asked, she brushed me off. The warmth we once had cooled into something mechanical. She still showed up, still played the role, but the small affection, the kind that makes a relationship feel alive, was fading. Then, one Thursday evening, she closed her laptop, looked straight at me and said, "My parents want to meet you. Saturday night. Don't make excuses." I almost told her no. My gut told me to push back. But the way she said it, sharp, final, left me with little ground. So I agreed, and that decision set the stage for the longest night of my life. In the living room, her father Javier asked about my job. I explained what I did in logistics, an operations analyst who made sure shipments got where they needed to be. He nodded politely, but I caught the faint curve of Brenda's mouth, like she was holding something back. When her mother, Rosa, called us to the table, everything looked perfect. For the first 15 minutes, it felt normal. Small talk, polite smiles. Then Rosa switched to Spanish. "At least he dresses well," she said, glancing at me. Javier chuckled, answering in the same language. "Clothes don't build a future." I understood every word. I just kept my head down. Brenda joined in, her tone sharp but playful on the surface. "Papa, don't worry. I'm just managing him. One day I'll bring home someone better." They all laughed except me. Rosa leaned closer to Brenda, still in Spanish. "He doesn't understand us, does he?" Brenda smirked. "Too stupid to catch on." I chewed slowly, heart pounding but face calm. The rest of the meal followed the same rhythm. English when they wanted to include me, Spanish when they wanted to cut me down. And I sat there quietly, letting them believe I was deaf to their words. Because I already knew how I was going to end the night. By the time dessert hit the table, I had heard enough. Brenda's father leaned back in his chair, still smirking in Spanish about my small ambitions. Brenda leaned toward them and said, "Imagine if I actually married him. Can you picture that? Me, living small forever?" The words cut, but I didn't flinch. I lifted my glass, drank the last of the wine, and placed it neatly on the table. Rosa looked at me with feigned warmth. "So, Tom, are you enjoying the meal?" she asked in English, her smile sharp as glass. "Yes, ma'am," I said. "It's excellent. Thank you." Then I pushed my chair back slowly, stood, and looked around the table. My heart was steady now, not racing, and I spoke in Spanish. Every insult, every joke, every word you thought I missed, I caught them all, and I'll remember them. The room froze. Javier's hand tightened on his glass. Rosa's eyes blinked rapidly, like she wasn't sure she'd heard me right. And Brenda, her face drained of color. The silence was thick. No one moved. Then I slipped on my blazer, nodded politely, and added one last line. "Thank you for showing me who you are." Without raising my voice, without losing composure, I walked to the door. Behind me, chairs scraped. Brenda's voice cracked. "Tom, wait." But I didn't. I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and left them sitting in the silence they had created. By the time I pulled into my driveway that night, my phone was buzzing nonstop. 10 missed calls, half a dozen texts. "Why didn't you tell me you spoke Spanish? You embarrassed me in front of my parents. It was just a joke, Tom. You're overreacting." I tossed the phone on the counter and let it ring. I wasn't in the mood to defend myself for being insulted in my face. Around midnight, the knocking started, heavy, impatient. I opened the door a crack, and there she was, Brenda. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, and anger mixed with guilt. "Why are you ignoring me?" she demanded. I didn't move from the doorway. "Because I don't owe you an explanation." "Don't be dramatic. You're blowing this out of proportion. You know my parents? They joke like that. It's cultural, Tom." "Cultural?" I said evenly. "Calling me stupid? Telling them you're waiting for someone better? That's not culture. That's you." She flinched at that. "I didn't mean it. It was, God, you're just too sensitive." I shook my head. "No, I heard you, every word, and you meant it enough to laugh." Her jaw tightened. She tried to step forward, but I put my hand on the frame, blocking her. "You're not coming in, Brenda." Her eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious. Tonight showed me exactly where I stand with you. and I'm done pretending otherwise." For a long moment, she just stared. Then she tried another angle, softer. "So that's it? 3 years and you're throwing it away over one dinner?" I kept my voice steady. 3 years don't mean anything if respect's not there. And tonight, you made it clear it's gone. I shut the door before she could answer, locked it, let her fists hit the wood for a few more minutes before the sound finally stopped. When the silence returned, it felt heavier than the knocks, but cleaner, because I knew I had drawn the line. The next morning, I woke to a string of new messages. "You're cold. I can't believe you'd walk away over this. After everything I've given you, this is how you treat me." The tone had shifted overnight. Less guilt, more attack. I didn't answer. By noon, the texts piled higher. Voice notes followed, her voice bouncing between anger and pleading. "You're too sensitive, Tom. Don't throw us away. You'll regret this." I scrolled through them once, then set the phone down. My hands were steady. I'd already seen enough at that dinner to know the truth. That week, I made changes. I closed our joint account. My name was on the lease, and most of the furniture was mine, so I had no problem with the apartment. Brenda kept trying. Emails this time, long paragraphs alternating between love declarations and insults. It was a carousel of manipulation, and I'd seen enough to know the ride never ended. So I cut it off. Blocked her number, blocked her social media, shut every door she could use to get in. The first night after blocking her, the quiet felt strange, heavy, but also clean. At work, I threw myself into projects. I stayed late, volunteered for tasks others avoided, and kept moving forward. The promotion I had been working toward finally came through. Senior analyst, solid raise, bigger responsibilities, and new respect from the team. Brenda didn't even know. And that was fine, because by then, I understood something clearly. Once respect is gone, there's nothing left worth saving. I met up with a few old friends for beers on weekends. I didn't rush to fill the gap she left. I wanted to sit with it, understand it, and grow from it. Within a few weeks, Brenda packed her things while I was at work. A few boxes, some clothes, her laptop. She didn't leave a note. Every now and then, my mind drifted back to that dinner table. The food had been excellent, but the taste of it was ruined by what I heard between each bite. Brenda laughed as she cut me down in front of the two people she claimed mattered most. Her calling me too stupid in a language she thought was safe. Her parents joining in like it was a sport. I could have exploded that night. I could have humiliated her the way she tried to humiliate me, but I didn't. I chose silence until it mattered. I let every insult land without reaction. And then, when the moment came, I ended it with a few words in Spanish. Calm, controlled, enough to flip the power without raising my voice. And that, more than anything, is what I carried away. Respect isn't negotiable. Once someone crosses that line, there's no going back. Brenda thought she was in control, thought she could laugh at me while keeping me around until someone better came along. Instead, that dinner became the clean break I hadn't realized I needed. Now, when I think about her, there's no anger left, just clarity. She showed me who she was. I believed her, and I walked away with my self-respect intact. That night may have ended a relationship, but for me, it started something stronger. A life that's mine, steady and honest. A life where I know exactly what I stand for, and that's worth more than any dinner table approval. Thank you for watching.